Let's start this video by proposing the following thesis. A subsoiler will solve many of your cultivation problems. And why? We'll get to that shortly. Nothing happens in the field without a case, but before you take action, try to make a diagnosis. Whenever you go to the field, always take a spade. By performing a shallow excavation, you can assess the soil condition in the humus layer. Digging a bit deeper, you will learn even more about your soil. Spring water stagnation is the first sign indicating the presence of a plow pan. In these places during vegetation, there is also incorrect development of crop roots. Finally, the last very noticeable signal is the high sensitivity of plants to water shortages. By excavating in this spot, you immediately get to the problem. It is worth doing it several times during the growing season, if only to assess root development. The plow pan, also known as the cultivated layer, is a soil layer that gets compacted due to the years of plowing at the same depth. As a result of these actions, a harder soil layer forms just below the plowing depth, which can act as a barrier for plant roots, water flow, and air exchange in the soil. The plow pan negatively affects plant growth as it restricts root access to deeper soil layers where essential nutrients and water can be found. It can also lead to drainage problems, causing water stagnation in the surface soil layers. The solution to the plow pan problem is subsoiling, which involves mechanically breaking this compacted layer to improve soil structure. The plow pan, which hinders root development and the infiltration of rainwater into the soil profile, usually occurs directly below the humus layer, approximately 30–40 cm. Here, for assessment and precise location, a sharpened rod is useful, which we insert into the ground after excavation. A noticeable resistance indicates the presence of a plow pan. This simple test should be done when the soil is well moistened, whereas if it is very dry, the rod will always penetrate it with significant resistance. This simple test allows for assessing the depth and thickness of the plow pan. Based on this, the working depth of the subsoiler should be adjusted. This means that it is not always necessary to loosen the soil to a depth of 50–60 cm. Remember that subsoiling is a very energy-intensive procedure. Increasing the depth by 1 cm usually costs about 1 liter of diesel per hectare. The purpose of subsoiling is to loosen the plow pan. Once loosened, roots will reach deeper, and that is the main goal of this procedure. Remember that in our country, gray-brown podzolic soils dominate. This means that beneath the humus layer lies the leached horizon and below it the enriched horizon. As a result of rainfall, clay particles from the upper soil layers have been washed down to the lower levels. Fine soil fractions retain water better, so without the plow pan, plants can utilize it. What then is the purpose of deep tillage? Firstly, breaking the plow layer to improve water and root infiltration. Secondly, improving air exchange within the soil. Additionally, increasing the soil's ability to store water and improving nutrient availability for plants. The deep tillage process should be performed when the soil is dry. The working elements underground must lift the soil, and when the soil is dry, it cracks easily across the entire width of the cultivation. Therefore, the post-harvest period and early autumn are the best times for deep soil loosening. Remember that deep work reaches the level of soil with fractions that retain water well. If deep tillage is performed in overly wet conditions, the effect can be opposite to the intended. Wet soil will smear. The range of machines for deep loosening and elimination of plow pans is very wide. Rolmako produces, among others, the universal U602 subsoiler with straight tines and subsoilers with deflected tines, the so-called Michel tine, models U608, U614, and U619. Also, the Rolmako U624 chisel plow with the reaper tine will fulfill its task here. The wider the tines of the deep tiller are spaced, the wider the working elements are, the deeper the soil can be loosened. A chisel plow, where working elements are much denser, should work shallower at around 40–50 cm. Rolmako also produces the deep tiller chisel plow, which can work at a depth of 65 cm. When and under what conditions to perform the procedure is important. As I mentioned earlier, it is best to deep till soil during dry periods to avoid its compaction by heavy equipment, or when you identify a problem with compaction of the plow layer, e.g. based on observation of plant growth, the size of waterlogging, or soil tests. Frequent deep tilling is not recommended, only when necessary. Too frequent deep tilling can lead to degradation of soil structure. The procedure is best done in early autumn, but it can also be carried out in early spring before the growing season. Remember that a plow pan most often forms when we plow in too wet conditions. A tractor wheel moving in the furrow compacts the soil several dozen centimeters deeper. Any cultivation of overly wet soil leads to its compaction, even when we perform cultivation in a simplified system. All mistakes which lead to soil compaction we must rectify with highly energy-intensive work. Crop rotation is also important. By cultivating deep-rooting species, the soil is naturally deep-tilled, e.g. rapeseed, sunflower or sugar beets. If the soil is overly compacted, the root systems of even these plants will not develop properly. If you wish to gain valuable information today about proper soil care, saving time and money on fuel consumption, we warmly invite you to visit our website at rolmako.com, Reduced Tillage. There we thoroughly discuss various conservation tillage systems, such as no-plow farming. However, what is worth emphasizing is not just the theoretical descriptions, but also practical tips illustrated with graphics, which will help you better understand how the most commonly used combination of machines that simplify the cultivation process function. You will find not only descriptions of individual cultivation systems there, but also practical advice on their effective application in your farm. Our goal is not only to provide you with knowledge, but also to help you practically use it in your daily agricultural work. Thanks to our publication, you will be able to make more informed decisions regarding the selection of the best solutions for your farm. We warmly invite you to explore our content and to discover how we can help you achieve success in farming. Let's summarize everything in one sentence. The benefits of subsoiling include breaking up the plow pan, improving water infiltration, better soil aeration, increased root access to nutrients and water, improved fertilization efficiency, increased soil water storage capacity, reduction of surface waterlogging, revitalization of microbial activity, reduced erosion risk, and optimization of soil temperature for plant growth. I think that now you will not have any doubts about whether it is worth performing the subsoiling treatment on your field, and you will notice a whole range of benefits that come from it.